Hi, and welcome to my new series, where I go over PlayStation Network's newest free games for the PS3 and the PS4. For those who don't know, PlayStation for some time has been releasing free games every month exclusively for PlayStation Plus members, and with the current PS4 requiring PlayStation Plus to play games online, this is a great opportunity to take full advantage and get the most for your subscription. And in this episode, I'm going to be talking about some of the games that caught my attention. And the first is Galaga Legion DX to be exact. This game, if you haven't guessed already, is a modern rendition of its popular arcade predecessor. Galaga Legion DX keeps its core fundamentals while adding its own twist to make the game seem fresh and new. And while the game is definitely more user-friendly than the arcade version, the later stages can get pretty hectic but overall fairly simple to master. The graphics are amazing and almost seizure-inducing at times, but nothing says a great game like mild paralysis. One cool thing to note about this game is seeing Namco pay homage to the old Galaga games, and it even goes further and changes the enemies to fit the skin that you just chose. And with two methods of firing, one focusing more on covering all sides in case of a sudden swarm, and the other being a more focused fire, those two are more than enough to take on any wave of enemies. This game is perfect for people like myself, sometimes too tired to play any other game, and just want to lay down in front of the TV and just enjoy playing a great game without having to sit up and pay too much attention. This is a definite download for those who are fans of the series, or just casual, and especially those who love collecting trophies and want to get as many as they can. And on a side note, it took me around 5 hours to get all the trophies in the game, so it's not too bad and can be done in one sitting so you can move on to the next game. And if you liked fixed shooter games like Galaga, then you'll love another of the same genre, but for PS4. And that brings me to the next fixed shooter game, and that's Resogun. I've had mixed feelings about this game, and I'm going to start with the things about Resogun that either didn't make sense to me or just flat out annoyed me. One thing that I found pretty annoying was one boss in particular that pretty much trolled me for a few minutes, and the footage you're seeing now is a sped up version of the fight which contained a whole lot of back and forth till I eventually activated my overhaul, which also slows down time and allowed me to finally clear the fight. Another thing that didn't really annoy me, just didn't make a whole lot of sense, was the objective markers. And while the game looks amazing with all the physics going on and the seemingly endless waves of enemies, the objective, which is to save humans and survive to the end and beat the boss, sort of blends into the background. The game features a color palette that's mixed with a lot of blues and greens and colors in between, so to have the objective a nice green color makes it hard for me to know when I need to haul my ass over to save the human before he dies. Something as little as changing the color of the objective markers to contrast with everything else would change the game drastically, making it easier to focus on what you have to do, save humans. On a lighter note, I found it very amusing that my mission is to save as many humans as I can. Yet the game allows me to throw the humans carelessly into the motherships, and I did it with a smile on my face. By the way, pro tip, hold boost and throw and it'll allow you to throw humans further. The main thing that I admired about this game is its difficulty. It seems like games nowadays hold your hand and make it very easy to complete, and that couldn't be further from the truth about Resogun. The unforgivingness is one of the things that made me want to keep playing and gave me a sheer sense of accomplishment when I beat a level. And just to give you a feel on how hectic it gets, here's a short clip to show you some of the stuff that I went through.
Multiplier up. Human lost. Keepers detected. Weapon power up. Keepers detected. Phase complete.
And that was just the second stage. If you're the type of person who wants a challenge, this is something worth checking out. This last game that I'll be showcasing for this show is called Don't Starve, and with a name like that, it's safe to assume that it's a survival game. I like this game for many reasons, and don't really have anything negative that I can say about this game, with the exception of a few minor things. The story for this game is that you play a scientist who gets tricked into making a machine which transports him into another, more horrific dimension, and the player has to survive hunger, monsters, and even the darkness. Light is a very important resource in this game, shown here where the screen actually goes pitch black as my torch goes out, and an unknown being killed me in only 2 hits. And speaking of dying, this isn't like any other typical survivor / crafting game that lets you go back to where you died and resume as if nothing happened. This game takes dying very seriously, and if you do die, you'll have to start over from the beginning with a new world and a fresh start. While this may be frustrating to some people, I actually like this concept, because since dying is an actual fear in this game, it makes you rethink every decision you may or may not make. Even something as simple as eating the wrong thing at a low enough health will prove to be a fatal mistake. The art is another thing that caught my eye immediately. To me, it has a Tim Burton art style feel to it, and even though there is no actual dialogue, through reading the text I can feel the sense of dark humor the game has, and it still makes me laugh. And in a game with a dark design and knowing that death can follow around every corner, laughter certainly makes the situation you're in seem a lot less hard. And with the story of a scientist being pulled into another dimension, nothing is too far out of the ordinary. From towns full of pigmen to giant turkeys and monsters who lurk in the dark, Don't Starve not only puts you in an intense environment, but gives you the tools to combat anything that threatens you, if you survive long enough to gather the resources. From simple spears to elemental stabs and traps, it's safe to assume that if you make it far enough in the game, your character can be one tough badass. And a shout out on the next vid to anybody who can name that reference. The only thing that I wish they could have incorporated in the game was a multiplayer of some sort, but I understand that may be a little complicated to do for the simple fact that death in this game is permanent, and it would be hard to decide how to approach the game with the question, how do we end it when one player dies? To just go on and allow the player who just died to continue like nothing ever happened would essentially change the game. The fear that you would have about dying wouldn't be there anymore, and it just would be another generic survival / crafting game. So it's understandable, but still very unfortunate. Other than that, Don't Starve is easily my favorite of the bunch, and I recommend this game to anyone because it's well designed, the art is just amazing, the gameplay is nice and sound, and hell, it's free. Even long after when this game goes back to its $15 price tag, I would still fully recommend it to anyone who wants to play a true survival game. These are the games I feel deserve some spotlight, but they're not the only games released this month for free. A couple of AAA titles are also currently for free, such as Borderlands 2, Devil May Cry, and in the later weeks, BioShock Infinite. For a full list of this month's free games on PSN, you can pause the video now or look in the description, and be sure to hurry and get the ones you want before you miss the window. And make sure you subscribe for the earliest update on next month's free games and which games I feel made the spotlight. Thank you for watching, and if there are any additions for this month, I'll make an update video. But until next time, I'll see you later.